ndio nasema hatutatoka. Mimi nasalimia batoto wa Kinshasa le 27 biso to le 28 donc tozaraka tokendete.
Well, the much-awaited signing of a pact between the DRC and Rwanda happened just a day ago. Both of these countries have been at odds against each other, and the signing of this deal didn't come easy. It had to take a lot of convincing to the DRC government because the DRC government has been really skeptical about signing any deal with Rwanda. Well, that happened. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you about that deal that was signed between Rwanda and DRC, as well as what is the impact of that deal right now as the hostilities between these two countries still continue. Also, in this video, I'm going to tell you about a prisoner exchange between the M23 and the FARDC that is recorded to have happened in Eastern DRC. Well, this is Bonafide. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I release something new on Eastern DRC, you get notified as soon as possible. Well, finally, both Rwanda and the DRC have signed a pact, the Regional Economic Integration Framework that was facilitated by the United States. This is following that meeting that happened on June 27th between Rwanda and the DRC, a pact that hoped to stop hostilities between both Rwanda and the DRC. According to the United States, both of these actors are critical in stopping the war in Eastern DRC. In fact, these are the core principles of what exactly is happening in Eastern DRC. In the middle are the M23 who are fighting against the DRC government that are now occupying Eastern DRC. So what is this regional economic integration framework that was signed between these two parties? This is an economic deal between the DRC and Rwanda for the minerals in Eastern DRC to be mined and be passed through Rwanda. And of course, both of these countries are going to get a cut from these minerals, as well as the facilitator, the United States, is going to get, of course, a huge cut from the minerals that are coming from Eastern DRC. Already there have been companies that have lined up to start mining in Eastern DRC. This is including cobalt mining that is owned by Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. Well, this deal is synonymous to many deals that have happened across Africa where two parties are fighting, then a Western country comes in as a mediator, and this Western country takes a cut of the minerals that are coming from that particular troubled area. Right now, we understand the kind of enormous richness that exists in Eastern DRC. The rare earth minerals of different kinds that are found in Eastern DRC. Talk about gold, talk about cobalt, and other rare earth minerals that are found in Eastern DRC, which many countries right now around the world are fighting for to have and to enrich their own countries. But what are the reservations that the DRC had regarding the signing of this deal? The DRC was hesitant to sign this deal because it said that there are some irreducible minimums, there are some conditions that had not been met by Rwanda for the DRC to sign this deal. In fact, the DRC say that it is not going to sign the deal unless there has been the removal of the defensive measures, as Rwanda will call it, in Eastern DRC. Rwanda has its troops in Eastern DRC, according to many sources, that are assisting the M23 in fighting the FARDC. And the DRC says that unless these troops have been removed from Eastern DRC, then there should not be a signing of this particular economic framework. Well, the DRC has since signed this economic framework. We've not heard much about the removal of these defensive measures from Eastern DRC yet. It seems as if there was a push by the Western countries for the DRC to sign this deal, regardless of that solid show that Rwanda has really removed its defensive measures from Eastern DRC. But perhaps the question that is in many people's mind is, why is Rwanda benefiting from the minerals that are coming from Eastern DRC? Why isn't the DRC government taking full ownership of their own resources that are coming from their own land? Because it really doesn't make sense for Rwanda right now to benefit out of the minerals that are coming from Eastern DRC. That is what the Regional Economic Integration Framework comprises of, that it is a signed pact between Rwanda and the DRC that Rwanda will benefit from these minerals that will come from Eastern DRC directly or indirectly through this Regional Integration Framework. Despite the signing of this deal, It is important to note that the DRC still has its reservations, and it has pointed out that the implementation remains contingent upon the satisfactory execution of terms of a previous agreement according to the statement. This includes the withdrawal of Rwandan troops from eastern DRC and, of course, Rwanda's condition of neutralizing the FDLR. That nothing will move. Despite this deal having been signed, nothing will continue unless Rwanda has removed its troops from eastern DRC. That is the condition that has been given by DRC. And Rwanda says that also nothing will move unless there has been a neutralization of the FDLR in eastern DRC. So these are the conditions that have been given, and both parties are saying that the implementation of this particular deal will not take place if the conditions have not been met. So what do we have here? Despite both of these parties having signed this particular deal, nothing seems to be changing because there will be no implementation of the regional economic integration framework if the initial conditions that had stalled them from signing have not been met, meaning that perhaps this signing of this deal was pushed by some entities, but both of these parties were really not ready to sign this deal. This has been seen not only in this signing of the Regional Economic Integration Framework, but also in other deals that have included both the DRC and Rwanda in solving the crisis in Eastern DRC. And this also includes the Doha Agreement. We know that the M23 and the DRC government are continuing with dialogue in Doha. And this dialogue also augments that particular deal that was signed on June 27th in Washington, what is now formally known as the Washington Accord between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Now, the FCM23 and the FARDC also are supposed to stop hostilities against each other. They also have their irreducible minimums. And part of the asks by the M23 was the release of their prisoners. Now, the FCM23 also has prisoners who belong to the FARDC, as well as the FARDC has prisoners that are FCM23. Now, it is reported that recently there has been a prisoner exchange between the FCM23 and the FARDC. Now, this has been a matter of contention because the FCM23 just a few months ago criticized the Congolese government, saying that DRC was not very honest on releasing prisoners, that it is releasing prisoners who are not high priority to the FCM23, that the FCM23 has its own list of prisoners that should be released. Now we are getting information that there has been prisoner exchange between these two parties, which of course, by the fact that you are learning of it right now, happened in secret. And despite the prisoner exchange, it is important to note that both the FARDC and the FCM23 are still continuing with hostilities in different parts of their front lines in Eastern DRC. This is also happening at the same time while we are having political hostilities between Rwanda and the DRC. Well, I'll continue to keep you informed and updated of the latest of what will happen in Eastern DRC. Right now that Rwanda and the DRC have signed the Regional Economic Integration Framework, what will happen next? Will the implementation really start of this Regional Economic Integration Framework, or this will be yet another deal that will be signed without any implementation following? Keep it bona fide.